Question to float around in it. Do you believe that you can make music or like show your faith without making like Christian rap or Christian music?
I think so. I definitely believe God is the reason why I've had success in my career. He's definitely taken me along the way. I've definitely stayed prayed up, and I've always had faith. But like I said earlier, music for me is just an expression. And I don't feel convicted when I say certain things in my music because that's my outlet. It's like my journal, that's my therapy. So I do think you can have faith and not make Christian music. What do you think? Yes.
I think my short answer would be yes. I think because my belief is that God has assignments for different people.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I think your journey, like the journey that you have in life, is evidence of what your assignment is. So if I was to be laser focused on me, it was like, I became a Christian when I was in year 8 and I took it mad serious. And my faith stayed with me through uni, through everything. And my hardship was being very good friends with people that lived in a way that was directly opposite to me. It would have been easier if I just I had Christian friends, I went to church, I had Christian friends, but there was an element of like my interests, whether it be in rap, hip hop, just the culture, certain stylish and certain things like that. My friends were just my friends, and I had to learn how to be a person of faith. And I kind of felt compelled that I wanted to be an inspiration to them, because in a way, part of me was like, if this God thing is so good for me, they should see it in my life. So I stuck close to them in a way of like, they're gonna see it in my life over time. But that carried into my music, because I thought that my understanding was like, people in the world need hope generally, just life is hard. So if I want to be true to my faith, that's gonna look like bringing hope where it's needed most, in a way that doesn't create barriers for me, in particularly in my space, because like a lot of my fans, a lot of them didn't grow up in, like, they didn't grow up in church necessarily. So there's an element of like, some of them DM me saying, yo, how do I get closer to God? How do I even navigate this? Because I heard you said that. So that is fulfilling for me in a way, because it's like, I'm not making Christian rap in that conventional sense, but I feel like my mission is being achieved in the sense that people that are trying to learn about God are finding hope through what I do. And that feels like my specific assignment, versus someone who might make out and out Christian rap. That might be the assignment. Versus someone else who might just be a comedian and there's no faith element at all, but God created them to make people laugh. So they're just being obedient by being funny. Do you know what I mean? There's that element. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I totally agree with what you said as well, because it touches base on me, what I said before about just being a vessel. You don't know what you're a vessel to, but being obedient to the fact that you're a vessel is just doing your job and fulfilling your purpose. Like, you don't make Christian rap. You're a Christian that raps, but you might inspire someone to make Christian rap that will touch a nation of people that are strong believers of God, but might not follow you because you might not like occupy the same space as them, but you've enabled someone else to create a space for other people. Do you get what I mean? I just feel like you can praise God and have a tight-knit relationship with God without making gospel music. Because what is gospel? Do you know what I mean? What is the definition of gospel? Like, is it a song that's just got solely to do with you praising God and praising the gospel and using the language and quoting the verses, or is it just a song where it's righteous? It's a righteous song, and I speak from my heart, from within my church, which is my body and my temple, and I'm speaking out everything that I feel from within. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, what is gospel? Do you get me? So it's about navigating that and then figuring out, like, what is it that you actually do? What is it that you speak about? And like Banks said that she doesn't feel the conviction for the stuff that she speaks about in her songs, and I don't think she should. Do you get what I mean?
I feel like that as well. I feel like sometimes, like, the amount of inspiration I've given people, and just in general in life, all different walks of life and different times, And then it's like, yeah, sometimes I think of my bars and I'm like, bro, like, this bar's a mad thing, this one's a mad thing, this one there. But it's like, then there was one person, he kind of spoke to me about my style. And he was like, no, because it's got humour. And then he started giving me all these different ingredients that made me. And then I realised that the picture it's not dark. You know, then one's there, it's like, right. And then it's like I've had to understand that what I've given the people is like inspirational, good.
Yeah.
It's good for the community, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had to, just understand that myself.
You know what's so crazy? Just as you were talking, I got the maddest flashback, yeah? And I was like, even though, because obviously you're a mad barrer, like you're known for just making sound effects and getting a wheel up, like you're hard. But you know what's so crazy? Until you start saying what you're saying, you actually do have a wittiness to your music. I remember when I was in school, I don't know if I was in secondary school, probably, but I was thinking of, do you want to come to my house? Can't be in a long thing in my house, because Mum, she's soon come back to the house. After the quick got cookie, get out. What?
Yeah.
I was like, he's boring, but it's funny. And you got character. Yeah, like you're from the ends and you're comfortable in your skin, but you're funny. It's like, you do bring a light in your music.
Yeah.
But it's nuts because until you probably said that, I didn't realise the character you hold. And sometimes you got to look at it deeper. Past the artist being good, what do they actually represent? And I just want to put it out there, like, I just got the flashback and I feel you.
Yeah, because people would have felt like they can be, like, there'd be a whole crop of people that are influenced that would have felt they can be more liberated as themselves, or they could embrace that quirky side or embrace that element of who they really are, innit, through that. And it's deeper because it's like, I see it as righteous in the sense that livelihoods and legends of, like, even from your impact in the game, other people have gone on to do certain things which they just would not have done had they not seen you. And then when I see it from like a faith angle, I see it as like blessing generations, innit? Because I think it's very important what we do and what we leave, like our effect we have on the planet, like on this earth, innit? I think sometimes we box things in too much, whereas like, if it doesn't sound a certain way, it can't be, like God can't use it.
Yeah.
I think so. And even if, like, from a biblical point of view, there's a popular saying, it's, Paul in the Bible said, in him we live, move and have our being. And basically he was walking through a temple and there was a pagan temple and he picked up a random idol. And on the random idol that he picked up, it said, in him we live, move, have our being. And he looked at everyone and said, this is a pagan poem, but what you guys don't realise, this is actually about God, Yahweh, da-da-da. And I paused, because I like to analyse, and I'm like, hang about. You're telling me he was in a temple that had nothing to do with Christ, nothing to do with God. He picked up a random idol, saw a poem on the idol, took it, remixed it, and said, this is actually about God. And things like that bursted my bubble and made me think more in line of, what you're doing, Bliss, is right. Because you're in a space where you're speaking to people and speaking within culture in a language that's understood, rather than creating a language barrier, lines of division. But to balance it, I also believe there are people that would have been raised in church community, who are zealous about their faith and figuring out their faith, that need the Christian rappers, and need the Christian artists in order for them to have their thing. So it's just this balance.
Even to feel more comfortable with themselves.
100%.
I think that's probably where I fall in, kind of thing. Because obviously going from a space where it's like, I'm making songs about this batty, this girl, this money. Like, and the thing is, I wasn't saying anything that was untrue. Like, the stuff that we was doing, it was mad. Do you know what I mean? And how I spent like 100K on girls. I don't know where the money went.
What? I just love the badness a bit too much, though.
I hear you.
You're making money like we know,
Do you know what I mean?
No done.
And for me at the time, that song for me was like, obviously it popped off. Do you know what I mean? And at the time it was like, raw. I find it funny because everyone's like, raw, like these lot just jeweled off. These lot doing their thing. In my head, I'm thinking, you guys don't know, I'm empty. But I think for me, again, like at the time, I think it serves its purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? And again, like the journey that I'm on, obviously God clearly had a different plan for me, and I'm down to do whatever he needs me to do. And I think I'm finding it, for me, as Double was saying, like, it's for me. Do you know what I'm saying? It might not be for anybody else to do, but as for me, like this is definitely something that I'm called to do, because based on the fruit that's come from it, I'm like, raw, I'm seeing the fruit. And going from like being in the pews, yeah, looking up at the pastor thinking, this guy, whatever, to being the guy that's up there preaching to people and people like giving their lives to God, and I'm thinking, raw, like, I didn't think I was gonna be here. Do you know what I'm saying? I did not calculate this at all. Do you know what I mean? But I had a genuine experience, and my experience was still a journey. And the more that I'm getting to know God, Yahweh, Jesus, and understand how I am with him and what is my purpose here, it keeps changing. But not knowing that all of that, what do you call it, the residuals, people are actually looking at my residuals like, raw, like, this is proof that he almost didn't make it.
Yep.
Like the time when like I was suicidal, obviously this is, I'll just say it, where I was at a bridge and I put my leg over, and this is my first encounter for me to know that God is real. And I put my leg over and my phone rang so, I never felt my phone vibrate like that. Picked up my phone and it's my mom. Mom was like, you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. She said, where are you? I'm still on the road. She said, God is letting me know you're not okay. Come home.
Yeah, it's deep, yeah. There we go.
And the way I dipped home, I think for me, I didn't calculate none of this at the time, but fast forward like 4 years, I look back and I'm like, hold on. I was on the road where nobody saw me. In fact, I didn't even tell my mom I was gonna do it. I didn't chat to the man, them didn't know. It was for me, I hated my life. And that's another thing why I couldn't do acting, because I didn't have I didn't have my own image. So I didn't know who I was to be going into acting as well. But yeah, so being at that bridge and no one being there, no cars are driving past, for my mom to call me at the time, I'm like, aside from the fact of I can say, oh yeah, this is her instinct, you didn't see me either.
That's the spirit.
And that's when I understood that how God works through people is different. Because she had a different purpose to somebody else, do you get what I'm saying? And through my mom's relationship, I was able to benefit off that.
Saved your life, yeah.
And I said to my mom, thank you for seeking God. Because if you didn't know God, I wouldn't be here.
It's peak.
And I think for me, that was like, where I was like, I want to be that, but like times 100.
Times 100,
Because who am I going to save based on how close I am to here?
That's deep.
And obviously, you guys know about the whole prophetic thing. When you get into church and you start saying to someone, hey, the Lord sees you crying last week, Wednesday, and it was a time for them, they start believing again, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he stirs
And
up
again,
their faith.
even in the music, like all the music I'm making, like it's very, very prophetic, and I don't do all just Jesus. I make love songs for my wife, because this is Bible too.
And that's your life.
Do you know what I'm
as well.
saying?
That's
And
your
I'm
life.
promoting that this is
your
how
life,
men
cold.
should, like, look at their wife and big her up, you know what I'm saying? And when it comes to anniversary time, what? You want another song, babes? I've got you. Do you get what I'm saying?
Cold.
And I want to bring back that time, because at the end of the day, when I look in the Bible, it's giving man rules and all these things, but it works. It works. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think like the work that you guys are doing is amazing, because you guys can bring the people in and then they'll shake hands with you, talk to you and start, something's different about you, what is it? Then you start saying, I'm a Christian, or you might say something about God, and that's when they start clocking on, and you don't know that you're planting seeds. So everyone's doing their job, man. And that seed might be watered by somebody down the road, but you might have been the one who planted the seed.
Yeah.
It's serious, yeah.
Honestly, your story is amazing. I actually felt super emotional listening to you. But it's really a testimony for what God can do and what he's capable of. And I think just answering the question, I guess, from all of us, you're the only person on this table that has gone from making secular music to gospel music. And I think that's amazing, even though I'm still in that world. But ultimately, I do feel like we all have this image of ourselves, of who we think we should be or what a good person is. And that might be a different image for each of us. But the power is in you following what you feel that person should be, because if you go against that, that's when you feel like you've done wrong. That's when you feel like the conviction. And my conviction might be different from yours. But as long as you follow that image, I think that's the most important. And it's mad inspiring. It's mad inspiring to hear. So just thank you for sharing.
Appreciate
It's
that, man.
deep.